Hey gang, it's Powerhouse Pam Waters, a Soul Advantage Mobile Notary. Thank you for joining us today on Maryland C.O.I.N Notary Show, where we explore various cash opportunities and notarial services, and we meet some of our movers and shakers that live right here in Maryland. And so my mover and shaker today is none other than Whitney Blakeley, who I have crowned the queen of self-promotion. She's everywhere. And so I just want to welcome to Maryland C.O.I.N Notary Show, Miss Whitney Blakeley. Go ahead and take it away.
Hey. I love my new crown. But yeah, I'm Whitney. I am in Southern Maryland. So basically, I try to specialize in general notary work. That's where I spend most of my time doing. I really started out being a notary for none other than helping out with my kids' sports team. They always needed notaries for their playoff paperwork, all that kind of stuff. We could never find a notary. I said, you know what, forget this. I'm gonna just go ahead and be the notary and do all your paperwork. And then I really started realizing that there's money to be made with being a notary, and I'm never one to turn down extra money. So I took advantage of that. At the beginning of the quarantine, I really started working as a notary and kind of putting my commission to work. And most of that is just general notary around my community, advertising myself to my friends. And I'm spending most of my time just within Charles County, Calvert County, St. Mary's County, a little bit of PG County, but just right here in my direct community, which I really like because I've always worked with nonprofit organizations and community organizations and all of that. So it kind of ties together for me that way. Yeah, I'm just a regular person out here trying to make money like everybody else.
Well, I know the good thing about being a notary and with your child, you can actually get business while you're out doing your regular stuff. You was at a baseball game. I'm pretty sure you told somebody that you were a notary, right?
That actually was a little bit of my self-promotion and just being available whenever people need somebody. So basically that situation was I was at the baseball field and I'm a part of a bunch of different Facebook groups just for my local community, like Charles County moms, all kind of stuff like that. So I always post stuff in there about me being a notary. And someone had posted, hey, does somebody know a notary who's available tonight? A bunch of my friends tagged me in it because they're always so good at tagging me in things when they see stuff. Which, I love them. So someone tagged me and I said, well, I'm at the baseball field right now, but I have my notary stuff in the car. Like, if you want to come by the baseball field, and sure enough, she came with all her tax stuff that she needed to get done, and she had to send off to her lawyer and all this stuff. So we sat right there in the baseball field and did her notary paperwork.
Right. The first thing is just to tell people what you do. Don't be ashamed of it. Notary is a prestigious thing. So tell everybody, hey, I'm a notary.
I'm cool with being that annoying person on your Facebook that's like, hey, this is my like when I first made my Facebook page, I just went and you can say invite all. I invited every single one of the people on my friends list. And if they wanted to accept the invitation, they did. And if they didn't, whatever. But I was like, you know what? This is how I'm going to get my business, and it's free to do that. I'm all about whatever the free avenue is. I don't have to pay for the advertising. That's the best way for me. So, and a lot of my friends stepped up, and they, as I said, they always tag me in things, or they'll send me a message and say, hey, I know somebody who needs a notary. This is their phone number. And I love it. My friends stepped up for me.
Right. I love Facebook because it is a great source. It's free. You're already on there. And once you tell people that you do it, they will start tagging.
Right.
And even in the Facebook groups that we are in, they'll say, well, I can't do this today. Who can do it? So I think that you and I, that's how we connected, because you were gracious enough to give me one of your jobs that you couldn't serve.
Mm-hmm. And that was mainly because you put yourself out there too, and you said what your area was, all that kind of stuff. So I already knew this person's in PG County. Okay, here you go. Right. And a lot of that is just being active on all those pages. I all day long, I'll get notifications of stuff, or I'll just randomly go in the groups and type in the search bar, see who was looking for a notary recently or something like that, and respond to the chat and everything. just being on top of that kind of stuff, because as I said, that stuff, you're not paying for it. You are already involved in your community. And then as you get more business that way, more people are going to tag you or recommend you and all that kind of stuff. So just being consistent with being active in those type of situations, for sure.
So I know that we were talking and you had started using, well, you still use Thumbtack. So give me your experience with Thumbtack and the other avenues you use to get people to give you assignments.
Yeah, so this is kind of comes back to a conversation you and I had about when we put money out there, we know it's going to come back to us. This is a situation where I joined Thumbtack when I had no direct clients. I had nothing. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to get clients some way. And I mean, if I have to put money out there to get some clients, I'm going to make sure I'm the best person that's ever showed up to their house, so then they don't come through Thumbtack again and they just call me. And I said, you know what, I'll just do it that way, because I have nobody doing it right now. I had just started my Facebook page. I had just opened stuff up. So I really had nothing coming to me. So I said, you know what, I'll pay a couple dollars and do Thumbtack. And that's when Thumbtack was only $3 or $4 a lead. So I had no problem with that, because most of the time I was making $30 or $40 off of the job. And I said, you know what, $4, that's fine. So I said, I'll do this for a little while until I get direct leads coming in and people are calling me directly and kind of business picks up a little bit. And then hopefully I'll be able to phase that out, because I didn't want to have to be paying for it forever, because that's just not a good business model. But I knew it was probably the best way for me to get kind of my feet wet in the industry and kind of jump in versus waiting for the 1 or 2 people to call me eventually or whatever it is that I was going to get from my Google page. So I really like Thumbtack. I was a big advocate for it in the beginning when people would hate on it and say, oh, you have to pay for that. I don't want to do that, blah, 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 blah. They're charging me all this stuff. Because I learned the way to set it up correctly. So you have to set it up and make sure all your settings are exactly how you want it, so you don't get charged for things you don't want. And a lot of that is just trial and error. So I probably paid for more things than I needed to at the beginning.
Right. I learned the hard way also.
But I mean, I like Thumbtack as a business model. I mean, you have to put the money out there in order to get it back. You usually, if you're good at responding to those leads, you respond quickly, you usually get the job. And then you usually make more than what they charge you. But I mean, they have increased their prices, which I'm not a fan of. But I definitely think it's a good avenue to get yourself started, because where else are you going to get the business in the beginning other than just sitting around and waiting? Because it's very consistent leads. Usually throughout the week, you're getting 8, 10 leads, however many you set it up for. So I mean, I like Thumbtack, but I just don't want to pay for it anymore.
I liked them in the beginning until they hit me with an $18 charge one time, and the lady didn't show up. So I was a little deterred, and they wouldn't give me my money back. But usually they are good, and so that put a little bit of taste in my mouth for Thumbtack. But I'm willing to, like you said, just pause it for a minute, because I was getting work from somewhere else. But it is a good tool as long as you set your stuff up right, like you said. And so because I know that I got charged for somebody in Ocean City. And I can't drive Ocean City for general notary work. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, when I started using it, I was so eager when I first started, and I wasn't being realistic. And I just said, oh, I'm gonna put it for all of them. I'm gonna do all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll drive there, whatever. And I didn't really have a grasp as far as what was realistic, as far as what your payback was gonna be. And then when you think about your time committed, so I was driving up to Montgomery County, I was doing all this stuff, and I said, you know what, I drove for 2 hours for $40. Like, that really is not a good use of my time. And I had to start being more realistic with it. And so I pared my Thumbtack map down a little bit. But yeah, in the beginning, I probably spent way more money than I should have, because I just didn't understand how the whole thing worked. And that's the same thing with Yelp. I went and fell for the Yelp ads and paid $200 and some because they got me Yelp ads. And a lot of it is just trial and error at the beginning, as I just made a lot of things because I was just so eager. And I wanted to get out there, and I fell for everything.
Well, for me, I don't recommend Yelp. They got me for a good $200 for 1 month. I was like, I got.
I'll leave my little page up, but I'm not paying them any more money. No.
Right. I still keep a free page, but I'm not paying them for ads ever again.
Right. And yeah, they got me with that. She made me feel special and called me and set up the whole thing. And felt like I was something special, and I realized they were getting me for a bunch of money. But a lot of that is just learning more about business as well. So not just learning how to be a notary, but learning what a business model looks like and what you need to do to be sustainable in a business. And a lot of that, I think, pairs with general notary, because I mean, there's not that much money that you're going to make off of just one simple notarization. You need to think about all the different stuff that goes into it. So what is your goal for your business? How much overhead are you going to have? All this kind of stuff, because if you are keeping your overhead as low as possible, I mean, that money is going to look a lot better versus if you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for ads, you're going to say, oh, I'm not making any money, but that's because you're putting all this money out there and it's not coming back to you. So a lot of that is just learning how to get rid of all those extra things and stick with the free advertising and the word of mouth and the going around to businesses and dropping business cards off and all of that.
Right. So you can come in now if you want to ask Whitney some questions. She's going to share us some more, but this is the time where if you would have a specific question for her, this is the great time to unmute and come on in, because we are very interactive with the Notary Show. So come on, and Nakia should be first, because she requested Whitney to be on this show. So I'm so glad that you said yes. But if you have some questions for her, come on in. So Whitney, you can go ahead and take it away again until they start chiming in.
I have a question. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Whitney, hi. Can you tell me what you said again about Yelp? It's not worth it to pay for the advertising. The reason I ask is because I just set up a page on Yelp on Thursday, and Friday I got a call from this guy named James, and he just wanted to talk about the account. And something in it just didn't started to sound like it was going to cost me some money. And I haven't made any money and I'm not working. So that's not a good combination.
Yeah, Yelp has a great way of making you feel like you're special, and they're gonna, make you do all this stuff and do all this. But from my experience, at least here in this area, I've heard other things from people who live in other areas, not in Maryland, that Yelp works better for them, so they pay for the ads. But in Maryland, I've gotten like 2 people message me off of Yelp. And so I just block all their phone calls, them and Google, block all their phone calls, the free stuff. Because Google's gonna try to put you, we can put you on the front page, blah, 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 the whole thing. Stick with the free stuff, because you're gonna get plenty of business from the free stuff. And then once your business starts growing and you feel like you want to invest more into your business and you might want to do that, okay. But when you're first starting out, don't.
Well, I did. That's interesting, because I did Google, and my phone was, was blowing up initially, and then I got an email from them, and it looked like I had some kind of balance due of $113, and I'm
like, what? They got me like that too, Carmen. Yelp did.
My phone blows up enough from the free page, so I'm good with the free page.
So does Google offer a free page?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how to cancel the Google stuff, because I already had gotten scammed or whatever you want to call it from Yelp. They got me. So I just didn't even fall for the Google one. So I just ignored them to begin with. So I don't know how to go in and cancel that or whatever ad or whatever you had set up. But my page, I don't pay anything for Google. I don't pay anything for Yelp. I don't pay anything for Facebook, like none of that stuff. I just cut off all my ads for all of that stuff.
So do you have a separate Facebook page from your personal one, or it's just me? Okay.
No, I made a page just off of my personal one, because I don't mind them knowing my personal page, versus like I have another one for my full-time job, and I have a completely separate page. I don't need them to know my real life. So I just made a page off of my personal page.
Okay.
I didn't mind that being connected. And it works great for me, because I'm able to connect it with the Instagram and share stuff directly and do all of that. So having it set up that way works for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Damian Ransom here with a question. So I'm tagging team on Whitney and Pam, since both of y'all have experience with how the correct way and incorrect way of setting up Yelp or the Google page. Would y'all be able to tag team on like some type of, I don't know, tutorial on the correct way to set up your page for free so you don't get ripped off and make that chatter?
I'm
Sure.
willing.
Sure. Another cool thing to do is if you already have your Google page set up, go on Bing and get your Bing page done, because if you're already verified on Google, it'll just directly, you can just do your Google page onto Bing and you won't have to re-verify or anything. So if you're already verified on Google, go ahead and get yourself set up on Bing too.
Oh, well, that's new to me. Thank you. And so what I heard is that you should treat your Google page like you do your Facebook page, upload and interact with it, just like you would do your Facebook page. And a lot of people will come to you if you get your reviews put up there and you put pictures of your businesses and just utilize it just like you utilize your Facebook page. And you'll start getting more contacts from people and not having to pay for ads.
Yeah, and they have like a feed set up, kind of like how Facebook is, where you can put up different events you have or different promotions you have. And the way I look at that is, because I've seen some people's pages, not to be a hater, but they could do it better. Because I like to look at it as, if I Google search myself, would I hire myself? Because I look up everybody online. That's how I decide whether I want to hire somebody. And if their page is raggedy, if they have things spelled wrong, if they don't know how to capitalize words, I'm not hiring them, because I don't think that they are professional, and I don't think that they're whatever. If their pictures don't look like it's professionally done or whatever it is, that, I mean, I'm going to question it, because it's not going to look real to me, because there's too many scams out there now. So I like to look at my Google page, all that stuff is, would I hire myself if I was researching this business? And if the answer is no, then you need to make changes. So I mean, that's how I just like to audit myself in that way of, if I came on this person's Facebook page, would I think they were real? Would I think they were a scam? Would I think they were not being professional? And if they, all of that, then, you can make adjustments that way. Because that's how people are finding business these days. And there's other notaries. They don't have to hire me, but I'm going to make them hire me because of how I present myself and how I, approach different situations. So definitely make your Google page active so they can see that you are currently working. I get a lot of messages that will say, hey, we found people on here, that aren't even working anymore, but they still have a Google page. Are you still working? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But if they see that you're regularly posting and stuff, like, they're going to know that you're active and you're still working, because there's a lot of pages out there that they just never took down. So definitely make it look like you're still out here.
Like you're active. All righty. Thank you for that. Thank you, Damon. And I think that D'Angela has already requested that I do those type of things. I had sent out a list on the Facebook page of things to do if you're new or stagnant in your business. And so she said, well, everything that you listed, you need to have a class on each one of those. So D'Angela is coming. Lord help me.
Write it down.
It's coming. So the 12 or 15 things I put down, we're going to turn those into many things on Saturdays or something. And then Whitney's going to promote what she also offers later on. But it's coming, D'Angela, okay? Special request from you. Sorry, Whitney, keep going.
No, I was going to see if anybody else had questions before I started.
Whitney, I have a question. How are you going about setting your fees when it comes to traveling and doing GNW?
I actually follow the Secretary of State stuff. Depending on where they live, I think I'm probably too nice of a person. I don't charge round trip, because I think that makes my fees really high, and it made me less likely to get jobs sometimes, because they'll say, oh, well, I have someone so-and-so said they'll do this price or whatever. So I do whatever the amount of notarization is, and I do per stamp. I've seen some people have the conversation of, is it per signature or per stamp? I do per stamp, so how many notarizations I have to do. And then I do the $5 travel fee, and then the 0.56 per mile. And I only do one way, because typically I like to set it up where I'm doing multiple appointments in a row, so then I'm not, losing that travel fee, but I only charge one way.
So this is Damien Ransom again. Pam, can I interject?
Go ahead, Damon.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with those fees you just said the $5 administrative fee, the mileage, and then per stamp is how you set up your fee.
And then the Secretary of State also says you can charge, if they ask you to print something for them, you can charge $1 a page for printing.
So I know that the question in part in some of your mind is that one of our other guests and a trainer said we can do it per stamp. And if you go back and read your handbook, it says per notarial act, which is your stamp, and not just per signature. Is per stamp. Is that part of the wheel that's going on in your head, Damon? It's per stamp.
Thank you much.
I mean,
Per stamp.
That's how I interpreted it. And I felt like, I have heard other people say, oh, it's per signature that you witness or per whatever. I do it by stamp because I feel like that's just the easiest, most consistent way to do it. So I don't want someone to say, oh, well, did she charge me this and we had whatever and she charged me this. I just try to be consistent and say, however many notary blocks I am actually notarizing, that's the charge.
Now, I have said it, so I apologize if anybody heard that from me. Well, what I did was go back, because I listened to who I thought was big time in the notarial business. But you read, it says per notarial act. So I'm gonna go by the state because I'm too chocolate and all that stuff to be anybody's girlfriend in jail. It's just not worth it. So I went back to per stamp, up to $5 for travel and 0.56 miles per mile, like you said. And so I have charged round trip, and I felt bad because it was like $40-something, but at the same time I took it though because I was legally, I could do that. But yeah,
I had people offer a round trip because they said, "Oh, I know you drove a long way to get here," and they've offered and I said, "Okay, fine. I'm allowed to accept that." But I don't always charge it. And if I'm driving within my local, so I live in Waldorf, Maryland. So if I'm driving within Waldorf, I usually don't charge the mileage either. I just charge because I'm just right here within and I'm not going to be petty and charge $1.20 or whatever it's going to be for me to drive to their house. So I usually, I say, if you're in Waldorf, I'm only going to charge you the travel fee, the $5. And that's been another way where I've been able to kind of work just within my local community, because I would like to hopefully be able to only have communities that I'm driving 5-10 minutes to and not having to drive, So I'd like to build up that close community.
Damien Ransom has another question. Can I interject this one?
Go ahead.
Whitney, you just answered my question I had for you. I was going to slip it in there, but thank you. So you say for your general notary work, you stay within a 5 to 10 minute drive range for it to be profitable?
No, I would like to hopefully eventually build up that close community where that's all I'm driving. But right now, I will accept things further. Like I still do some in PG County. I do stuff in Calvert County, St. Mary's County. But I don't like to drive more than an hour because then it's a waste of my time. Because I typically don't. If you think about how much you would accept from an hourly job, and you're only going to make $20, but you're driving 2 hours, you wouldn't accept that from an hourly job. So that's not a good use of your time. So if I'm going to drive an hour each way, but I'm making $50 or however much money, okay, that's more of a use of my time. Because that's now, my time is accounted for with how much money I'm making. But I would like to stay less than an hour, hopefully even less than that. But it depends on how much the job is paying too. I'm not going to turn down a $130 job or something. It becomes my way. But yeah, hopefully I'll build up my direct business enough that I will only be able to stay, within my close proximity and still be making the same amount of money.
That answer your question, Damon?
I believe so. I'll interject if I need some more clarity.
Yeah. So Whitney, I know that you have dabbled into loan signing. So can you give us your background on that and why you chose to stick with general notary work?
Yeah, for sure. So I started doing some loan signing, and because I'm sure everybody knows here, you get in these Facebook groups, everything is about loan signing. Everything is about, this is how you make money. That's all the training groups are about, loan signing. Everything is about, so I said, oh my gosh, this is what I have to do if I want to be successful in this. So I jumped in. And then I realized, wait, this isn't what it's all cracked up to be, because everybody's talking about how they're working back to back to back to back. They're doing all this stuff. You know, they have to work with the signing companies. The signing companies are paying in the butt and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not about that, because I got into this because I wanted more freedom. I wanted to be able to set a schedule how I wanted to set it. I wanted to be able to fill in some, don't mind the elephants above me, geez, my family's loud. But I wanted to be able to, you know, be able to take ownership over my own business. And I didn't feel like loan signing was offering me that, because I also didn't want to fill up my day back to back with all these appointments, because the whole point of it is me being able to spend more time with my family, having more finances, be able to pay for some stuff like that, and having appointments till 9 o'clock at night or something like that. Like, that just wasn't part of my plan. I also don't like having to wait for my money. I like general notary work because they pay you right there. You're walking away with cash in your hand or in your Cash App or in your Venmo or however you're taking their money, and you're ready to go. So if I need to go to the grocery store, boom, I have my money already. I'm not waiting 30, 45 days for my check to come. Because some of these signing agencies, you have to chase them down for the money. I've sent many emails saying, I did this job this day, where's my money? And then they'll finally send it to you sometimes. But I don't like having to chase down money and wait for it and all of that. That was not appealing to me. Having to follow everything that the signing company sent you, as far as they set the time, they did all of this, you know, you have to call them if anything changes. You're sitting there trying to get them on the phone on Saturday. I don't like all of that. I like to be able to go do the appointment really quick, get out, make my money, get it right then, and be able to control my schedule a little bit more. I felt like that was a little bit too much oversight for me to have my own business and have them, you know, looming over me. So that just wasn't enjoyable to me. I felt like that took a lot of the fun out of it for me.
Right. So for those who are new notaries or understand we're talking about in Maryland, because there's only like 3 states that have to get what they call a title insurance producer independent contract license in order to be a loan signing agent. So that's money spent just to take the course.
Ones are like $200 some. So you're putting all this money into just to take the class, plus the test fee, plus the, if you take anything extra. Whew.
It can be costly, especially if you come into this to make money and you don't have that money. That was one reason why I chose the training exchange, because it's only $169 at the time I wasn't working, which worked out for me. But financially, someone who doesn't have a job and doesn't have that resource of money, that can be detrimental because they can't afford it. So that's why you got to have a strong foundation in general notary work. That's my thought.
All you need for general notary work is a stamp and a journal, and you're done.
Right, stamp and journal. That's it.
You don't need a scanner. You don't need any of that.
Yeah, I've heard people pay like $2,000-$3,000 just for the things they need. I mean, you get the money if you're a hard worker, you're gonna make it back. But for those who don't have the startup costs, it could be. And Martin, you can put us on as far as how much money it costs to start a loan signing business. But I've heard $2,000 or $3,000 just to get started.
Yeah, I was very lucky with right around when I was really getting into my business was really growing and I needed some more stuff, was around Christmas time. So I put everything on my Christmas list. I put my printer on my Christmas list, my scanner on my Christmas list, I had like a notary bag that I had picked out all of my stuff with all of my little like flags, all my extra stuff that I wanted for Christmas, my magnets for my car, my little badge, all this stuff. My birthday and Christmas is right next to each other. So I said, I just want all my notary stuff because I don't want to have to pay for this. And my family was like, cool, we're cool with investing in your business. So I was lucky that I got a lot of my stuff paid for. But if I had to pay for that out of my pocket, there would have been no way. Absolutely not. Because, I mean, I don't know about other people, but I don't have that kind of money just sitting around.
Right, exactly. And I know this might seem like a silly question. So I'm going back to general notary work, but I've seen it in Facebook groups. How do you said you charge by cash, but how do you give them an invoice? Because I know for me, I'll email them an invoice with an attachment to a review on my website. So how do you invoice your general notary work clients?
I typically don't unless I know them. I have before where like I was going to the person's mom's house or something and the son was paying me and I already knew them and stuff. And I just do it through Square because they automatically do all that for me. I really like Square that way. I do my appointments through Square. I do my invoices through Square. I do all of my cards through Square, like whatever it is. If I accept credit cards, all of that is through Square. So I send my invoices that way because they can just pay directly and it directly deposits to my account and I don't even have to think about it.
Oh, I do cash and carry, but that's just me. The only thing about that is
if you want to give me money, I'm not going to turn down your money. So however you want to give me money. But I also, because I have utilized the referral for Square, I don't have to pay the fees because I've referred people to Square, so I don't have to pay Square fees. So I don't mind taking people's cards now because I think it's like every person you refer, you can get $1,000 for 180 days worth of fees or something like that you don't have to pay. So,
yeah.
So I had a couple people that I referred to Square, so I was able to get some free fees out of that. So now I'll take anybody's card.
Oh, yeah, because that's a bad thing for me because I will spend that money. So, yeah. So cash and carry sometimes doesn't work for people who doesn't have discipline. Don't do it. Okay, sorry. That was just my little spiel. But go ahead, Whitney. Take it back. Take it back.
I know. So self-promotion, that was one of our big things that we wanted to talk about was how do I promote myself? So
yes.
a lot of it is online. So I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours establishing and researching all of the different ways, all the different platforms to set yourself up on. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Bing, Google, Yelp. I've even done a bunch of random different apps that didn't pan out. Just I set up a profile and see if anybody messaged me. Thumbtack. There's another one called Servo or something like that. Yeah. I just spent the time and just set up all of the profiles. Just sat down and did all of the different profiles. So I had an online presence. Because then if you Google yourself, all of your different pages show up. So then people say, oh, this person is legit because they are on all these different pages. That was my first thing I did was I just sat down and set up everything. So everything was consistent. I had information that was right on all of it. All that kind of stuff. But then it also comes down to getting the word out there. So I have my card magnets. I have all of my t-shirts that I wear with my name on it. So I just go to the grocery store and I have my thing that says I'm my Notary by Whitney shirt on and people will say, oh, you're a notary? Or I have polos, I have the face mask, I have a jacket with it on there. So I'll just wear those around and people will say, oh my gosh, you're a notary? So all of that. What else do I do?
Did you do those through Vistaprint or did you have different vendors that you utilized to get those marketing material?
My car magnet and my little name badge I did via Zazzle. So I designed those myself. My flyers and my business cards and my mailers, all of that I do through Vistaprint. And then my t-shirts and all of that, I did that through a company which is here in Maryland. It's called Urban Edge Customs, and she'll do your logo. If you don't have a logo yet, she'll do one for you. She mails it directly to you. She's so fast. I have a polo through her. I have t-shirts through her. I don't remember what my jacket is through. Someone actually bought that for me. They got it embroidered with my logo. But so I just wear those out and about, and then people will say, oh, wait, hold on, you're a notary? So that's easy self-promotion where you're just going about your business. You have your magnet on your car. What I have is on my magnet on my car, I have a QR code that goes directly to my booking page. So if they just see me parked in a parking lot, they can just set an appointment that way.
QR code? Can you do
yeah.
What's that? I mean, did you set that up? I mean, I know what it is, but you set that up?
Yeah, it's completely free. All I did was I just Googled, how do you make a QR code? And there was a website that you can just put the link in that you want the QR code to lead to, and it just makes it for you. It was free. I didn't pay for it at all. And I just saved the image and stuck it onto my magnet when I ordered it. So then they can just scan the QR code and book an appointment that way. Because I figured if I'm just parked in a parking lot, I'm not going to be there, probably standing there talking to them. So there has to be some way that we can.
Right. But also, if you go to the address line and type in your website, to the right where the star is, you just click on it and a QR code will come up and you can just download it. It's just that easy now.
Yeah. So I just stuck that onto my I have it actually on my flyers and I have it on my car magnet. So people can just book an appointment right there.
Cool beans. So did y'all understand? You don't even have to go to the app. You can just type in your website address, click on the address line. To the right, it's going to show you your QR code.
Okay.
Right. Just click on it, and it's going to download for free. So you don't even have to do all that app stuff. Just let y'all know.
Thank you.
Hey, what was that you were just
Let's
talking
go
about?
over that.
Download what?
D'Angela, this comes off of my list of things I have to do. I'm going to teach y'all how to get a free QR code real quick. So if you go to the address line, you're going to type in, this is for anything. You want the QR code for anything, but you just type it into the address line. Over to the right, you're going to see a star something where you can have your favorites. But if you click on the address line, it's going to bring up the QR code. And it's going to ask you, do you want to download? And so you just download it. And now you can put this on anything, all your cards, business, everywhere.
Boom. I needed this 2 weeks ago. Thank you. But I got it now.
Just save it as an image. And I just have it saved on my computer and my phone. So whenever I want to stick it on something, I have it saved.
Right. So just download it, save it, but you can get it just that fast.
Dog. I wish I'd known that.
See, Carmen, you should have called me. So you didn't call me. I would have told you.
I just made these cards and it would have been on here.
Yes. Well, you can do digital cards. You can make digital cards with the QR code. So don't still do that, okay? Because I had digital cards too. I was telling Whitney I need to get actual hard cards because the older customers I have want the hard cards. And
I got my business cards anywhere and everywhere. Every single appointment I have, I leave a business card. If I go to stores, I leave a business card. Anywhere. But you're gonna promote yourself enough that you're gonna run out of your cards quick, so you'll be able to reorder them with your QR code. So you'll be all right.
That's right.
You'll have a reorder coming soon.
Alrighty, so this is, I'm tongue-tied. This is Maryland Coins, where we explore various cash opportunities and notarial services. And this is the Maryland Coins Notary Show with our special guest, Whitney Blakeley. And so she is sharing her information about general notary work and just showing us why she is the queen of self-promotion, promotion. Right, Whitney?
Right. If you're not going to promote yourself, who is, right?
Exactly. So if you have any questions for her, just unmute yourself and just ask away. We are very interactive with this show, and we definitely want to make sure that you get all of your questions answered today.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Adam.
I have a question. Good afternoon, everyone. Whitney or Pam. Over the summer, I'm doing a lot more traveling. Should I buy business cards at
I missed it. What was it?
She said,
I do a lot of traveling in summertime. At a lot of hotels. Should I be leaving my business cards there or not?
Sure. As long as you're traveling in Maryland. If you're not traveling in Maryland, then it's kind of useless because you're only commissioned in Maryland. Well, unless you're dual commissioned, I don't know what you are. But if it's not in Maryland, it's not going to do any good. But absolutely, hotels are a great spot. I've had lots of people who I've gone to a hotel and done general notary for because, I mean, they don't know who to contact around here. They're traveling. I mean, as long as they're in Maryland, you can do their notarization. It doesn't matter, where they're actually from. So absolutely, hotels would be a great spot. If they're willing to stick a flyer up or willing to stick a business card up or recommend you, then absolutely. Make sure you talk to somebody, though, so that they know that it's there. So if somebody says, oh, I need a notary, they say, oh, you know what? I have this person that dropped this card off and they know to recommend you versus just leaving it around because sometimes that'll get thrown out.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. For the general notary work, do you still have the errors and omission insurance?
I do. So I have the full million because I dove in, starting with loan signing, and I've just left it the same. I haven't changed it. Just because everyone says it's really for loan signing, but I think it is very beneficial in general notary because you're dealing with a lot of people's life savings, their wills, their estates, their all this kind of stuff. I've had lots of people tell horror stories about a bad notary came and did their paperwork and now they're going to court because they signed over someone's estate or they did whatever. And you just need to protect yourself. So for the $30 a month I pay, I think it's worth it to not go to court over something if someone wants to take me to court. But I mean, you probably don't need the full million. I just did that because I was originally going for loan signing. But you can probably do something lower. But I think you still need errors and omissions because you don't want something to happen with someone's paperwork and you end up in a courtroom.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about the money. Just figure out how much it costs and then figure out how many loan signings or how many general notary work assignments I need to do to get this paid.
Right.
A lot of times we look at the total cost instead of figuring out the solution to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That's like $32 a month or something. That's, to me, that's absolutely worth it to not get sued.
Right.
There's too many
Because even as a general notary work, you can be doing quick claim deeds, special deeds, so you still have things that are related to real estate that, you have to cover in case there's something that goes wrong.
I think someone had just posted about someone did a quick claim and it was not even their house or something like that. Someone had just posted that in one of the groups and the notary had signed it over and it wasn't even the person's house and all this kind of stuff, and they ended up in court because it was a quick claim, and they just said, "Oh, okay." But I know you wanted me to briefly cover the apostille as well.
Yeah.
I have done one of those. That is general notary work, guys. So in Maryland, there's a couple steps. So basically, what you would have to do is you would meet with the client. Sometimes there's a notarization involved with that. What I was doing was a limited power of attorney for somebody. They were selling property in India or something like that. And so I had to do a notarization on the power of attorney. I did have to do like a thumbprint and a couple other things that the page requested. They had to attach a passport photo, stuff like that. But at that point, what you have to do is you take their documents to whatever court you were commissioned at. They have to put into the paperwork a paper stating, yes, this person's actually commissioned notary. They've been commissioned since however long. So you take it to whatever court you got commissioned at. So mine was Charles County. And then right now, the Secretary of State is only allowing mail-in paperwork. Otherwise, you would have to go up to Annapolis and do it in person. But I then had to FedEx all the paperwork up to the Secretary of State so that could actually do the apostille paperwork. And then what I did was I didn't have to drive back up there because this was a client in Silver Spring. I didn't want to drive all the way back up to Silver Spring. So what I did was I inserted the return address as their return address. So the Secretary of State then just mailed it back to them. Because you have to include the return postage and everything. So I had 2 FedEx labels in there ready to go for them. And you can charge around, depending on how much your costs are and how much traveling you're doing, $150 to $175 per one of those that you do. So that's a nice little chunk of change. If you can find, the jobs. I've only had the one. I wish I could have more. Because it's easy. It's just a lot of coordination.
And I know in Maryland it's like 3 steps versus most people do 2 steps to their apostille, right?
Yeah, because we have to take it to our court as well in between, versus some people you just take it straight to the Secretary of State and they just do it. But we have to get it ours certified by whatever court we were commissioned by and then take it up there.
Right. The
so
notary has to get notarized.
So we have a little bit of extra work for us, yeah.
Cool. Well, we have a little bit of few minutes left. So open up to Whitney. She has answered a lot of our questions so far, but I know y'all have some more, and you only have about 8 more minutes left with her, and then we're gonna have our after party. So Tanya, well, she's driving. Who else I see? You know, I started
have a
out.
question.
Okay.
Rasha.
Hey, so for the apostle, I have Googled it and it looks like there's like places that offer classes for it. Is there a certification required for it?
No, you don't have to have a certification because all it really is you running the paperwork. So the only thing as a notary that you are having to do is if their paperwork requires a notarization. So a lot of people, there's a lot of companies that just do like paperwork running for the apostille, because really what the apostille is something the Secretary of State, it's a piece of paper the Secretary of State attaches to their paperwork. So really you're getting paid for running their paperwork around for them. So don't have to be certified in anything. The training might just be telling you how to do it. But I just spent some time on Google, on the Secretary of State's website, all this kind of stuff, and I just kind of did it that way. So just, and I mean, it worked out when I did it. I had no complaints. So, yeah, I wouldn't suggest paying for it. If it's free, then it's great, but I don't think it's worth something you're paying for. You can just look on the Secretary of State website and they have it all on there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Ransom here. Quick question, please, if I can. It may seem quite silly and quite novice, but I'm really stuck on charging per stamp, per what is the other thing we said, per stamp or per signature? Right. So like with general notary work, I'm a visual learner, right? And so I cannot see the difference between per stamp and per signature because you got wills, estates, the quick claim deeds, you got the limited POA. I know all these forms don't look the same. So where can I get the opportunity to see like exactly like what is the difference between a stamp and signature? Like what exactly am I charging for? Like I don't know, like I guess.
So I think I know what you're asking. So basically what some people I have heard charge for is how many signatures of the clients that they witness. And that's what they consider being the notarial act is every time the client signs, not every time you sign, every time the client signs. So sometimes if you're on a power of attorney or something like that, there's a couple of different places where the client will sign, but you will only have one notary block at the end or something like that. So that's just kind of the difference there. They're saying, okay, the client signed 3 times on this one document, and then I notarized it. So that was 3 different times I witnessed their signature or something like that. And that's just, I've seen on some different groups, that's what they consider the notarial act or whatever. But from what I've seen, what I've looked up on our Maryland handbook and all that kind of stuff, it's really how many times the notary signs it and does their stamp and all of that versus the client.
And that's just stamping the notarial certificate.
Right, the notary block that's going to be there at the end or wherever it is, however many times I have to fill that out is what my charge is. And that's the $4 that we're allowed to, even though apparently it is going up in October to $5 here in Maryland. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to add, if I could, Ms. Pam. Did she go away? Okay. Well, Ms. Whitney, I want to piggyback on what you're saying. It's actually the actual stamp. Your signature is nothing without your stamp. I just want us to know that. Your signature is nothing without your actual stamp. So it's every time you push your little stamp, that's what you're supposed to charge them for your notary act. And if you go to Notary Gadget, it keeps all of your information as far as everything that you do as far as expenses, your notary stamp and stuff like that, so you can file your taxes properly. It's actually for your seal. It's just your seal, your notary stamp. Virginia has it for $5. Maryland has it for $4, but as she stated, it's supposed to go up to $5. So that's what it's really about.
my question is, what if it's one document that you stamp, but it has 4 signatures on it? That's where you charge for every signature, not the stamp. You may stamp one time, but it may have 4 or 5 people signing that one piece of paper.
Now, I have had one document where, well, a few documents where it is 3 to 4 people signing, and I have to stamp it 4 times on that one paper. I charge 4 times or 3 times based on each person that I have to use my seal. And your paperwork, it should say seal. Normally it says seal, and that's where you put your signature and your stamp, and you charge each time for everybody that's on that paper that you did your stamp.
Yeah, so I agree. Like mine, I just do however many times I actually have to fill in that notary block and everything. But also don't be confused. Sometimes when it says seal, it's asking for a signature. It's not asking for seal in real estate terms and real estate paperwork. It
It's
means
signature,
signature.
yeah.
So sometimes
Yeah.
it's asking for that, but just double check that you are seeing the notarial wording, all of that. If you don't see it there, you need to attach the blank form, or if you have a stamp, I have an acknowledgement stamp that I use. Because if it doesn't have that, it's not asking you to notarize it.
That's true. She's right.
Did it answer? Brown's supposed to be showing us how to set up a mobile printing session. Right, Mr.
I
Brown?
can. When you set me up a date, I'll show everybody, or I can set it up for you. I can actually do it for you. But it's very easy. I think if you're going to be an LSA, I think you should be completely mobile. And that's how, for me, I go back and forth to Virginia, unfortunately, for right now, until I take my TIPIT test. So for me, I made $1,100 just by being mobile. I never came back home. I made $1,100 in 1 week just by being mobile. They'll send me an order. I'll pull over, I'll print it, I'll scan the documents back in, and I'll drop it out of FedEx or UPS. I never came back home.
So we're gonna make that one of our shows where you show us that. Okay, it's Whitney's day, I know.
A lot of that is just being available when the opportunity comes to you. So that's be a loan signing, general notary, whatever it is being ready to go. So
that's right.
If someone calls you or sends you a message or whatever it is and says, hey, I need something done right now, being able to say, okay, great, I have my stamp with me, or I have my whatever, and just being flexible to when you're needed, because otherwise you're going to miss out on opportunities. Or people are going to say, oh, I always call that person, they're never available, or whatever. So just being ready. Yeah, absolutely.
But he's going to come back and show us, and he's going to give us some of his famous chicken that we haven't tasted yet. So those are the TIPIT group know exactly what I'm talking about. He's been promising us chicken, his famous chicken, for like 3 months now. So
we got to set a date. Let's set a date.
Martin is wild out.
Got to set a date.
We want our chicken. Hold on, y'all. Oh, sorry, my computer almost died. You got another question, Addie? We just saw your picture.
Okay. Yes, I did. So what is what can one do? Because it sounds like you all are talking about being a mobile notary. Is there anything, how can you do, or you just go out there?
Miss Whitney, if you could take over, Miss Whitney.
So being a mobile notary, so he was kind of glancing on just loan signing, but being a mobile notary is just being able to be available for the client. So whether that's going to their home, meeting them at a random place, that whether it be a Panera, whether it be whatever, we were talking about Staples earlier, just being available when they need you, and then not necessarily being in office, because for one, you're removing any overhead of having to rent an office or have an office. I even have people, if they are local and they want to drive by, I'll do a little porch notarization for them. That's fine. Just, whatever they need somebody, because a lot of the people I come across that are looking for a mobile notary or something outside of a bank or whatever it is these are people who they're not available during that 9 to 5 because they're working or they're whatever, or they need something last minute. I had somebody who had a deed that they needed signed, and I just was in a parking lot with them because they had to get it FedEx really quick, and they just got the documents. So just kind of being available and ready to meet them wherever it is they might need you, whether they're elderly and they can't leave the house or, you know, whatever it is. So I'll have people come by my house. I'll go to their house. I'll go to a random store. I'll be in a parking lot or wherever.
Yeah. And then if you're doing LSA, like let's say if you sign up for some of these SnapDocs, Notary Go, they're gonna ask questions. Are you a mobile notary? Do you have a print in a car? Do you have a scanner? So when you answer all those questions, they know that, hey, look, at the last minute, I can call on this person. So at the last minute, if I call on you and then last minutes give you bigger money, just so you know, last minute stuff give you bigger money. If they say, hey, I need some ASAP, you can't say, oh, I need an hour to run home, print the documents, come on back. Excuse me. You know, I need an hour to run home, come on back. So ASAP means, hey, can you do this right now? Our documents are ready. Can you get over to this person's house right now? So if you mobile, you have your printer, scanner, everything ready to go, no matter what happens. And it works for you. Trust me, it works. Even on general notary.
For general notary, though, you don't need all that. You just need your stamp and your journal.
But if somebody wants to copy, I do it for me. Now, you don't need all that. But for me, if I need to copy something, if I need to print another document, I can do it all right there, even though I'm outside.
Right.
I don't got to run.
Okay, now would this be for the general notary work, or would this be for the LSA? For what you're talking about with the printing, because I was under the impression for the general notary, you just need a stamp, and what Whitney said, just a stamp, something to write with, something to write on, and your journal.
Correct.
So within that to be, that would be right. But that would be additional services if you wanted to add stuff. But if you're just looking to do general notary, most of the time the client's already going to have their documents. So you're not going to have to worry about printing anything or anything like that. But if you want to add additional services, if you have the printer available, I mean, that's something you could add to it, but it's not required at all, no. No,
not required for general at all. It's a choice, a decision for you, but not required.
Yeah, okay, I also had another quick question, and I'm going to shut completely up. One, in reference to the certificates, I did hear that, Whitney, you said you have one that's already, you had a jurat that is on a stamp.
Yeah,
okay, would you suggest?
I have the acknowledgement, and I have the one that's if you're proving it's a copy of something, or like the passport, whatever it is. I have all three of those that are stamps. So I have the blank forms that I carry if I don't have room for the stamp on the whatever document they have. But the stamps are just so much easier to me because you know that I can be able to transfer that certificate to something else, or whatever it is. So I have all of those in stamp form.
Okay, and where did you get those at? Because I have those as well. I want to make it easy for myself. So where should I go?
I order all of my stuff through Anchor Rubber Stamp.
What is it again?
It's called Anchor Rubber Stamp. I order my notary stamps, all my extra stuff, all of that through them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
So is there a particular reason you only go to them? Is because of the quality or the price, or why do you?
All of it. So it's another small business. They're based out in New Jersey, but they are just much more personable. I email them, they email me right back. He calls me, all this kind of stuff. They have good quality. It's the kind where you just replace the stamp pad. You don't have to do the ink into your thing. You just replace the pad. They're fast. I think their prices are better. I think a lot of the other places are too expensive, especially for your just stamping. I mean, what the NNA charges like ridiculous, and then takes forever to ship it. So I just like them just because they're a small business. I know I'm supporting another small business. They're fast, they're reliable, they have everything right there on their website. Anything I've ever been like, oh, that would be cool to have, they have it right there ready for you. I just like them.
And plus, we've had a few people in our group that had problems with buying stuff from NNA. They have lost it, or it took them months to get it. So that's why I was just wanting to know.
Yeah, when I very first got commissioned, I ordered a stamp through them, and I ended up canceling the order because it hadn't even shipped yet. And then they were having all this trouble with, I had uploaded my commission to the website and they didn't see it or whatever it was. It was this whole thing. I said, you know what, just cancel it. There's other places I can order things from and not to get charged $60 for a stamp or whatever the charge was. So yeah, I wouldn't advise, but to each their own.
And so, Whitney, you're saying in place of loose certificates, you have a stamp for each of those notarial services or acts, I mean. This is Damien, by the way.
You mean? Okay, she's unmuted.
Did I lose Whitney?
I think so.
No,
I think you did.
I think
I
she's
think
been
you
talking. I don't see her.
I don't see her at all.
She'll be back in because mine dropped me for whatever reason, so I had to come back in too. But I believe, what was your question again, Damon?
Yeah, basically, I was just asking for each notarial.
There she is. She's back.
Hey. Hey.
Welcome back,
Yeah.
Whitney.
Connection.
I'm back. My
Hey,
computer
hey.
died too.
Nah, but this is Damien Ransom. I was just asking, like, instead of having loose certificates, you have a stamp for each of those notarial acts instead.
Yeah, so I have the stamps. I carry some of the blank, like actual printout forms, because sometimes the form won't have space for you to put that stamp on there. And I don't like stamping in margins and all that kind of stuff. I think that looks tacky. So I have the blank forms. If the form doesn't have space, I just will attach it, and I make sure I write on the blank form, this is being attached to whatever the document, because I don't want them to be able to transfer my blank forms to something else. But I like the stamps better because I like being able to affix it to the actual document. But if there's not space for it, you do want to be prepared with the actual printouts too.
Thank you.
All right, gang. So if this is the last question from Damon, anybody else? This is the last question. Okay, we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for joining Maryland Coins Notary Show. Miss Whitney Blakeley is our special guest today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're not a member, join us on Maryland Coins on Facebook. So Whitney, we want to say thank you. Any last words for your audience for today?
No, I just appreciate being invited and being recommended or whatever requested. It makes me feel very special out here. But I'm just a regular person like all of you guys. I'm still learning and all that kind of stuff too. So I definitely appreciate just being invited.
All right, Nakia, any last words for your special guest? This was her request.
I really appreciate you coming on, Whitney, and actually taking time out of your day to share gems with us. So you are appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, because you are so great on the Facebook page, and just personally, I appreciate the connection between the two of us, and thank you for being on today. So everybody stay on. We're going to end the recording, but we ready for the after party. Have a great evening, everybody. Don't hang up, y'all.